Hello, I'm Timothy Alexander, and welcome back to my channel, Wealth in Black Spaces. Channel all about health, wealth, and wisdom in black spaces. So, today I want to talk about a book I've been reading off and on for about a year now. It's by Marcus Garvey. For people that don't know about Marcus Garvey, he inspired both Dr. King and Brother Malcolm X. They both have him in high esteem for his teachings. In the book Marcus Garvey I want to talk about today is Message to the People, the course on African philosophy. Being a big reader, like I said, I told you guys I'm was going teaching you guys what the stuff I've been studying. This is just one of the books I study. By the way, sorry, let me start back. Welcome. Today is January the 12th. We're 12 days into 2025, and keep going towards those goals. And one of my goals is to read. Like I said, I told you guys my book. One of the things, my goal is to read the Bible from Genesis to Revelations throughout the year. Read and digest it and meditate on it. And by the time it get to December 31st, I would have read throughout the Bible, taking it a day at a time, absorb it, reading, part of Old Testament, New Testament. I think the way it broke down, it got some Proverbs in there, Psalms daily. And by the time December 31st, I'll be done. But also along with that reading, I read many other books. Like I say, I read books for my career in the federal government. I read books for business-wise, investment-wise. But, and this is one of the things he talks about in chapter 1 of this book, Message to the People, the course on African philosophy. Listen to what the scholar Marcus Garvey, who I think is like top 5 for greatest black activists, scholars, and I'll be talking more about those, of course. Dr. King, Marcus Garvey. I've just read another book, W.E.B. Du Bois. Anyway, getting back to this one. Lesson 1, this is broken down into lessons. So lesson 1, he talks about intelligence, education, universal knowledge, and how to get it. And he talks, and I'm reading right from the book here. You must never stop learning. That's, once again, this is a message to the people, Brother Garvey. You must never stop learning. The world's greatest men and women were people who educated themselves outside of the university, with all the knowledge and that the university gives, and you have the opportunity of doing the same thing doing the university student does, read and study. And I would even venture, now this book was written, oh man, had to been, he lived from 1887 to 1940. So I believe, if I'm not correctly, early 1900s, he wrote this book. So now you can literally get on Google and type in Harvard MBA program and read the exact same books, because you can get them from the library. I'm not telling you to go buy anything, or look at a course on YouTube and learn the exact same material that they're learning at Wharton, Harvard, Yale, anywhere. So there's no excuse for you to be reading something. And take an audit this year how much time you spent reading something or just sitting there scrolling or something like that. So this is what I'm doing. Put something in your head. He says, one must never stop reading. Read everything you can read that is of standard knowledge. Standard knowledge. Don't waste time reading trashy literature. This is to say, don't pay any attention to the 10-cent novel, Wild West stories, and cheap sentimental books. But where there is a good plot and a good story in the form of a novel, read it. It is necessary for the purpose of getting information. And it goes on and on. The literature we read should include the biography and autobiography of men and women who have accomplished greatness in their particular line. I'm gonna stop right here. Tim Robbins, one of the famous motivational speakers, I was just looking at a YouTube of him, and he said in 7 years he read 700 books. That sounds like a lot, but if you break it down, in 7 years, that's only two books a week, because you got 52 weeks in a year, so you're a little bit over 100 if you're reading 2 books a week for a year. So you're already at 100 and something. So it's really doable when you when you think long term. 700 in a year, yes, that's would probably be impossible. But when you planning out 5-10 years out, hey, I'm gonna read 1,000 books in 10 years. Break that number down to yearly, to monthly, to weekly. And are you gonna have to cut out some stuff? Yes, you got to cut out some stuff. Also, he says you should, going back to Brother Garvey, you should also read the best poetry for inspiration. And he suggests you should read at least 4 hours a day. I'm not going to go so as far to say you need to read 4 hours a day, because people have to work. He says the best time to read is in the evening, after you have retired from your work and after you have rested and before sleeping hours. But do so before morning, so that during your sleeping hours, what you have read may become subconscious, that is to say, planted in your memory. Never go to bed without doing some reading. And I keep a lot of books. I got about 10 books on my nightstand. And for the purpose of, once I get down to bed, of course, I pray, meditate, and then if I can grab something to read, I got it right there. I have books in my bathroom also, because you got to make time to read. Just like you go and lift weights, you need to have that stuff accessible to you. And he goes on. He talks about how to read. Or for you always have a well-equipped shelf of books. Pass judgment on what you read based upon the facts. When I say facts, I mean things that cannot be disputed. How to read. Use every spare minute you have in reading. Don't waste time. You think you have to waste. Anytime you think you have to waste, put it in reading something. Me and my wife go somewhere, she need to go shopping, I'm just riding along, I have a book with me. She might go into the store, okay, I'm gonna whip out my book. Especially on trips, airline trips, anytime we go on a trip, I have at least 4 or 5 books packed with me. So if I get bored with that book, like I said, I like to read many different books. I might read a couple of chapters of this book, put that one down, and then read another couple of chapters of the other book, because there's always time to put something in your head, exercise your brain. Mr. Garvey, Brother Garvey says, don't waste time. Carry with you a small pocket dictionary and study words while waiting or traveling. or a small pocket volume of something of some particular subject. You know, go down that rabbit hole. Right now, this year, one of my goals is to get more familiar with AI. So I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole. I'm gonna go to the library, find the AI section, the technology section, and just get a couple of books. One of the most important things you can have in your wallet is is a local library card, because you're paying for it already, so you might as well use it. You can get any book. Like I said, I won't tell you to go and buy no books. You can go to the library and read every book that you can get from the bookstore, and more than likely, the library system will get that book if you need it. So after 5 years of doing this, you will have read over 200 books. And he's just talking about read through at least one book every week, separate and distinct from your newspaper and journals. It will mean that at the end of 1 year, you will have read 52 different subjects. After 5 years, you have read over 250 books. You may consider then a well-read man. You may be considered then a well-read man or a well-read woman, and there will be a great difference between you and the person who has not read one book. You will be considered intelligent, and the other person will be considered ignorant. You and that person, therefore, will be living in two different worlds, one a world of ignorance and one world of intelligence. Never forget that intelligence rules the world and ignorance carries the burden. Therefore, remove yourself as far away from ignorance as possible, while seek as much as possible to be intelligent. As stated before, he go on and say, books are one's best companions. Try to get them and keep them. I get it when I do nowadays, because I'm trying to save more money. I go to the thrift show or Salvation Army, and I pick up good books for pennies on the dollar. I go peruse Goodwill. They have great books that are, like I say, $2 and $3. You can get books that you can probably, if you go to Amazon, that same book might be $30. And sometimes you can find some classics. I have found classics, autographed classic books at Goodwill or estate sales. My wife likes to go to estate sales too. So yeah, read with observation. One of his key things, read with observation. Never read carelessly and recklessly. You should you can improve your English as you go along by reading critically the books of the language. That is to say, you must pay closer attention to the construction of sentences and paragraphs as you see them in books and read. Imitate their style. So yeah, so definitely this is a great book. He has other lessons in here. I'll be sharing the other lesson and talking about economy. I may do that one tomorrow. So that's what I want to talk about. Reading is one of my favorite pastimes, is reading, trying to understand something. I can tell you, I'm here as retired. I've said this many times, as a retired Air Force major, and I think I'm here in this capacity that I am now. Got a good federal job left there. Is not because I have a master's degree. Well, that's part of it, but also because I never stopped reading. I never stopped. To God be the glory. Remind you. I never stopped reading. I never stopped learning, and I'm trying to understand how things work. Reading for understanding. Reading to understand investments, investment cycles, and understanding how the world works. Like I say, Marcus Garvey, one of our great black activists for improvement, he suggests you read 4 hours a day. How do you think Marcus Garvey got to the point where he had his own Starliner and all of that stuff until they stopped him? They stopped his movement because of what he was trying to accomplish for black people in black spaces. He understood the game. So they got some trumped up, well, you know the story. They trumped up charges of him stealing from the Black Liner and stuff, which was not true. It's been proven that it was not true. They used other blacks against him. I won't go into that, but yeah, getting back, reading. You please, my people, read something. But not only just like you said, like Marcus Garvey said, not only just read, but read something that's gonna elevate you, gonna have you understand. If you like construction, pick up a book on construction, and then not only read it, put the book down and try to practice it a little bit. Whatever you can do to try to practice it. If you don't do that, but practice it in your mind. I've heard stories of people. This mind is a powerful thing when it's used. People that was in Vietnam War have never touched a piano, but in 7 years of being in solitary confinement, they were practicing in their mind piano, and when they got out, they played flawlessly. Because it's once you tap into this and start learning and really just like lifting weights, you start lifting that lifting yourself higher energy as far as your mentals, you'd be surprised how far you can go in this world. I'm a living witness. With God's help, and just keep going. As far as, like I said, I read very widely, and I'll be sharing this a lot. But just read. Try to understand what you're reading. Meditate on it. Let it digest it. I like to write in my books. My wife don't like it, but once I have a book, it's mine. It's not just for looking at it. It's for writing in the white spaces of the book, so it can get into your mind. That's called active reading. Have your notebook bag. I always have a notebook pad with me, so I might read a chapter and then I try to summarize that chapter, summarize what I learned. So that gets it in your head better, and try to teach somebody. Maybe teach. You got somebody you can accountability partner. Say, hey, I just read this book. Let me summarize this for you. And then when you summarize it, you're really helping yourself retain that information. One of my jobs at the VA hospital, I was able to learn this material because I had to teach the material. So once you teach that material over and over and over and over, now you can start you get more comfortable with something, and that's what it is, getting more comfortable with it. So this is what I want to do this Sunday morning. This Sunday right now is afternoon. Instead of looking at that extra movie on Netflix, grab your book and read something, and try to get it down in your spirit, and make it a goal to seeking how many books you can read this year in 2025. Start in February if you have to. This month is we're 12 days. Just start. Get you a couple. Hey, I want to read at least 10 books this year. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Read the importance, especially now in the black community, is reading. There's a saying, if you want to hide something, hide it in a book. You know, that is not true. We have scholars all over the world that looks like us. So read a book, start a book club, start a book study. So, you know, you want to start with the Bible, y'all read Genesis together, and then y'all get together and try to understand what you've read. Read an investment book, like how to do stocks. Beerstown, if you don't know nothing about stocks, Beerstown Ladies is a good old book, or anything by Peter Lynch, One Up on Wall Street. But we as a people, we need to start learning this stuff, financial education, financial literacy. And that starts with reading good books on the subject, going to the library. Like I say, I ain't trying to sell you no course. Go to the library, ask the person at the front, hey, what's the finance section? Get the book, 5 of y'all together, y'all read the book together. Now y'all understand a little bit more, and it's like inch by inch. I keep saying that inch by inch is a cinch. And that's what I want to talk about. Y'all, love you, and get you a book, read some, put some in your head. Thank you.